What is going on, everybody? It's your boy Max Gagos here with another sports rant. And oh boy, do we have a show for you. So, there's something I also do have to mention. We elected a new pope today. And that was a monumental moment in history because he was the first American pope. And him being the first American pope is like, which city is he from? He is from the south side of Chicago. And apparently, there was a lot of debate online whether he was a Cubs or a White Sox fan. And his own brother had to come out and confirm, saying, no, no, no. He was not a Cubs fan. He was a White Sox fan. I just relish in the hilarity of it because he's one of the most impactful. He will probably be one of the most impactful people of this generation because he's the first American pope, and I think a lot of people are very excited for that, him being an American pope. But I also just love the fact that this is probably the biggest conclave that has ever been talked about. I've never. This is the first time the internet has really been tuned in to the conclave, and it was very funny. And he's White Sox fan, um, and yeah, so Chicago has just really just won the offseason. They got Ben Johnson. They got a brand new O line. They got a Pope. They really are coming for Green Bay. But we'll see what they do in the actual regular season. But that was pretty awesome. It's pretty awesome. I'm pretty hyped. The Pope is American. I was like, oh hell yeah! When we saw the white smoke, I was like, it's LeBron. No, everybody knows we're good. We know it's LeBron. But it's awesome watching the Warriors Wolves game with Ant and Steph out of the game there for a little bit in the second half is like eating dry, unseasoned chicken. Has tons of potential, but at the end of the day, it just leaves you unsatisfying with a bad taste in your mouth. Because when Ant was not explosive and when Steph is out of the game, this game got very boring, very clunky, very, very quickly. And this entire NBA playoffs has been pretty freaking awesome. There's been a lot of impressive things happen. This game was not nearly on the level of any of those other ones. Just with Steph out, I think we lost a lot of the factor of intensity. It kind of felt like the Wolves were in control immediately. 13-0, immediate run. They were hitting their shots. They were getting their points, and it felt very dry chicken to me. There was a point in the third quarter though where Jonathan Kuminga looked really good. The Warriors got it within 8 or 7, and I was really impressed because I made this take on Twitter. I was like, oh shoot, you know what? Jonathan Kuminga needs to be the guy to guard Anthony Edwards this series, or not primarily guard him, but to guard him in the series because he is just as athletic. Maybe not on the same level, but he is a very athletic human, and he can guard Anthony Edwards. He has the same speed, so he can stay in front of him and force him to shoot the basketball. Because when we saw it in game 1, when we're forcing Anthony Edwards to shoot the basketball, we are forcing the Timberwolves to take bad shots, like some other teams I'll mention later. They crumbled, and they beat them that way without Steph for 2.5 quarters. It was a very, very impressive. Buddy Hield has been impressive these playoffs. I was on his kind of hype train a little bit in Game 7 against the Rockets, where he dropped 33 and hit 9 threes, which is just absolutely impressive. I was shocked because Buddy Hield, it was kind of funny. Him and Jimmy Butler have an amazing relationship because it almost feels like older brother, little brother. Like it's exactly the same way I talk with my older brothers. And I was like, oh, this is like is relatable. They're funny. At the podium, they're laughing and they're jabbing each other. It's great. I love Buddy Hield. I love Jimmy Butler. And this Warriors team, if they can weather the storm without Steph, I think they can beat, like with Steph in the rotation, they can beat the Timberwolves. And that's saying a lot because the Timberwolves are an incredibly good team. They're an incredibly big team, and they can play a shitload of defense. And without Steph on the floor, it makes their job so much easier, like we saw tonight. When it's simplified, when you're not having to face guard Steph 94 feet and having to worry about him, it takes a lot of pressure off of everybody else. And it puts a lot of pressure on the Warriors. We saw a lot of pressure went on to Jimmy Butler tonight to kind of bail them out. And I turned off the game as soon as Steve Kerr conceded and put in all the bench players at the end of the fourth, because I knew it was like, okay, the Timberwolves are just we're gonna concede this game, but it is a math game because Steph can come back by game 5. The Wolves can't win in 5 games by game 5, so they have to steal one. Jimmy Butler has to turn into what he was in the bubble. He has to drag this team to at least one win. I think they just need one win. They can just get that one win. I think they can weather the storm and be able to. So they're not coming back from 3-1, so they can kind of have a game or two on the Wolves. But watching that game without Anthony Edwards and Steph is just unbearable. Unfreaking bearable. The other guy that needs to step up heavily in his role, if the Warriors want to win this series, is Draymond Green. Draymond Green he's one of my favorite players of this generation because of his physicality, because he has that dog in him. He is willing to do the things nobody else wants to do. Play defense, get rebounds, set screens, kind of officiate the offense, but he's like a modern day Dennis Rodman, right? So he has been in today's game. He had his flagrant foul on Naz Reid, which I will defend him on this one. This one didn't really look like it was intentional. It looked like he was trying to draw a foul, and Naz Reid's head got in the way. It kind of happens sometimes. It's basketball. But with his reputation of like choking out Rudy Gobert or coming at other guys and being aggressive and violent, they're going to take a little bit of that into account, and they're going to slap him with he's getting the technical, and he got real heated in the middle of that game, and that's kind of where the game kind of fell apart for the Warriors. I feel like they had fallen apart from the jump, but that was kind of where it was like, okay, there's no way they're just coming back into this one, because there's still a possibility. We've seen these 20-point comebacks very recently. And that's the thing I want to talk about next is the New York Knicks and the Boston Celtics. I thought coming into this series, I was like, Boston is just gonna breeze by the Knicks. They owned them in the regular season. It wasn't even close. And this series has just turned all of that talk on its head. I've been completely wrong on both of these Eastern Conference series because I was like, what's going on? What is going like? I'm like, okay, I'm going to go with these two better teams, and it doesn't work. The Knicks are down 20 in both games, and they storm back. The first game they take it to overtime, and it's tooth and nails. But this game 2 was just a masterclass of failure. They just imploded. This is the defending champions we're talking about. The Boston Celtics have championship pedigree, and they have a 6'8" power forward who will not drive to the basket. He wants to shoot the three. He wants to shoot a fadeaway because he loves Kobe Bryant instead of doing what he's good at. This is a guy who's dunked on prime LeBron. And he's deciding, no, we're not doing that. We're going to shoot a bad shot. It's a little bit on Joe Mazzulla. I think everybody can kind of get the blame because they are the ones out there on the floor. But I think it goes to Jason Tatum, it goes to Jaylen Brown, it goes to everybody. It goes to Kristaps Porzingis, who has played horribly in the series. And the Boston Celtics, they're just imploding. And you know what? Credit to Mikal Bridges. Credit to Jalen Brunson. Credit to Josh Hart. These guys were from Villanova, like the new pope. They come out and they have this energy and they have this don't quit mentality. Because a lot of teams would have folded. They'd have been like, fuck this. You know what? Boston's just better than us. But the New York Knicks showed grit. They showed poise. And they came back twice. That never happened in NBA history. Back-to-back, 20-point leads. Absolutely blown. This is the worst choke job since the Atlanta Falcons. 28-3. If I'm wrong, and they get their heads straight and they start making shots, because they can make shots. We know they can make shots. Then I will heartily apologize to the Boston Celtics. But right now, as it stands, they are going to New York. Madison Square Garden is going to be sold out because everybody wants to see the Celtics fail. They want to stab them in the ground. They want to crucify them right now because it's too much. Everybody's talking about back-to-back champions. Jason Tatum's in commercials where it's, I'm the greatness is chased, blah blah blah. It's like, really? I've just been absolutely just disappointed by this and by them. They were one of my favorites. They were my favorite to come out of the Eastern Conference. I thought the Knicks couldn't get past the Pistons, but they have just played better. They haven't played the best games. Josh Hart has admitted they haven't had the best total 48 minutes of basketball. They've gotten beaten for 3 quarters in a lot of these games, in most of these playoff games. But they are winning in the fourth quarter, in the last 16 minutes when it matters most. They are winning their matchups. And Jalen Brunson is being better than Jason Tatum. Mikal Bridges is making the key play. He's worth. I always criticize him for trading away 5 first-rounders for him. You know what? For 2 playoff wins over the Boston Celtics, I think that's worth it. I think it's absolutely worth it. He was worth every single one of those first-rounders because that is something New York has not seen in 50 years. It was an incredible sight. The other playoff series in the Eastern Conference that has been shocking. Both of these series have shocked us immensely because the underdog the away team, won 2 games back to back. The Pacers this one's a little less crazy because the Cleveland Cavaliers were struggling with injuries to Evan Mobley, and Darius Garland is in game 2. Though Donovan Mitchell scored 48 points, and they just couldn't. And at the end of the game, they just couldn't get a rebound over Tyrese Halliburton. And I always say, you always see it in high school games, and you never, ever, ever chant overrated to somebody at the free throw line, because you were just begging for disaster. And Cleveland was begging for it. They were like, oh, we're up 20. Overrated. All right. You want a guy to have the game of his life? Chant that at him. That is how you and even Donovan Mitchell was like, shut up, shut up, shut up. You're about to release a demon. Because anytime that happens, the guy turns in, whether it's in middle school, in high school, in college, in the NBA, the guy turns into prime Michael Jordan. And just stare like and you could see it with Halliburton. Like game winning 3. He had a game winner in game 1 and in game 2, and it's been awesome. The NBA playoffs have been awesome, and we get the fact that we get to watch this and have it to like, after how kind of mediocre and like unexciting March Madness was, having the NBA playoffs be this is just a sight to behold. I know that tonight's game was not nearly as exciting because the Wolves were obviously much better because Steph isn't there. But I am pumped. The other game that the other 2 games that the Cleveland, not the Cleveland, the Denver OKC series, Denver stole a game in Oklahoma City, which is absolutely shocking. Aaron Gordon has been playing his ass off in these playoffs. He's also just one of my favorite players. Jokic just being Jokic. But in game 2, they got absolutely worked. Oklahoma City just kind of splashed some cold water on their face and realized, oh yeah, we are the best team in the league. We won the most games. Why did we fold to this one? Why should we lose this series? We are better at pretty much every position. Except for center, but like if you look down the roster spots, it's like, yeah, we are probably we're the better team. Alex Caruso also had just made some crazy plays. He is a champion, and I think he is the glue that is keeping Oklahoma City from crumbling because he is the veteran presence. They need that veteran presence because they did not have that last year, and Luka worked them in 7 games. That I don't know if you remember that series was pretty intense. It got down to the wire, and Luka was just outplayed Shea, and they just had more pieces and we're moving more. But I think the Alex Caruso trade was really key to just having a champion. Just say, hey, I'm here. But he can also be a defensive menace. He's an athletic freak and he's an old bald guy, and he is just giving that wisdom to this really, really young but really, really exciting OKC team, who I think is probably going to win this series in either 6 or 7 games. I don't think Jokic is just going to keel over because he is obviously being very passionate about this entire thing. We've seen him yell at the sidelines multiple times. He's coaching. He's doing everything, and this is really the battle for the MVP. So now we're starting our segment of Into the Trenches with Max Gallegos, and oh my goodness, this is in the trenches, if anything. George Pickens traded to the Dallas Cowboys. This trade makes me feel very odd because George Pickens is the ultimate Jerry Jones type of player. Very dramatic. Splashy plays occasionally, but most of the time he is just a absolute menace on the field. He's just grabbing guys by their face masks. He's like wanting to get in fist fights. He has like the energy of a angry chihuahua. And what makes me very nervous for the Dallas Cowboys, just for their fans, for everybody besides Jerry Jones, this is going to be absolutely insane because Mike Tomlin is somebody who could play with anybody. He worked with Antonio Brown, ladies and gentlemen. He worked with Le'Veon Bell. Le'Veon Bell has an OnlyFans now. Antonio Brown goes on by CTESPN on Twitter. He has you go look at that Twitter, he posts some very diabolical shit. You go and these are guys that Mike Tomlin managed for years, for seasons. They were productive. Antonio Brown was probably the best wide receiver in the league. Le'Veon Bell was insane. And they were crash outs. Like, they were D1 pro level crash outs. We don't forget the way Antonio Brown left the Buccaneers. He took off his pads, actively took off his pads on the sideline, walked out to the locker room, threw his gloves in the stands, said peace out like Richard Nixon, and left. That's how he left the NFL. And Mike Tomlin, the guy who managed him for a very, very, very long time, said, George Pickens, please get out of here. Like, he was the catalyst for this George Pickens trade. Because I feel like they did get a better player in DK Metcalf just at the position. Like, DK is bigger, stronger, like more proven. And George Pickens has slightly DK Metcalf, to his credit, has a lot of drama, but has a lot of his talent overcomes his drama. George Pickens is the opposite. George Pickens is very talented, but he is way more dramatic. And this is just, it feels like primed and ready for Hard Knocks. Because they are very, very relevant, but they will be a bad football team. Because they will have that lack of locker room, cohesion. It will have to be Dak Prescott. Everything is going to have to be on Dak Prescott. And his injured knees and torn Achilles and everything else that poor man has had to carry. Because the only person who probably doesn't deserve any blame for how badly the Cowboys have been, is Dak Prescott. I think he has done the best for what he has. Like, there has been times where he does deserve the blame in winning football games, but in the people around him and the way he behaves so well at the podium. He talks to the media perfectly. He's like your quintessential quarterback. A+ when it comes to just interacting with the media, just staying out of trouble like your quarterback should. And what he's had to deal with Jerry Jones was just gone senile. Like, this is a guy who is in the Hall of Fame. I've touched his bust at the Hall of Fame as an owner. He was in the 90s. He was rolling, but he kind of got in his own way. He hired these guys who were like his yes man. Instead of guys and he fired some of the Bill Parcells. Right? He has fired Hall of Fame head coaches. I think Mike McCarthy was a much better coach than Brian Schottenheimer. Mike McCarthy is a Super Bowl winning coach. But Jerry, it's Jerry's world, not the Dallas Cowboys. And they have been absolutely, and they need to fix a lot of things, or otherwise they will be in hot water fast. Really fast. I do not think this is going to be a great duo. I think CeeDee Lamb and Micah Parsons will get very upset, especially CeeDee Lamb, because he's like, I'm the better, either if Pickens gets more targets, it's like, I'm the better wide receiver. What are you talking about? I'm the guy you drafted. I'm your first round draft pick, and you're giving it to the dude who just came in. And if more likely than not, Pickens gets less targets, Pickens is going to be complaining on wherever he's going to crash out and you will have a whole different mess on your hands. And yes, you'll get a lot of publicity, but you are also going to get a lot of, like, your team will be terrible. You're not winning Lombardis that way. That's not the way Bill Belichick won Lombardis. That's not the way you guys win Lombardis in the 90s. So I think this is pray for your Cowboys fans, because they have actually probably come to light. So appreciate you guys staying this long into the video. If you haven't already, like and subscribe. Comment either something hateful or something loving. I don't really care what. And please go follow me at my socials. Follow my X at Another Sports Rant. Post updates there. And on my Instagram at Another Sports Rant, and on my TikTok at Another Sports Rant. So yeah, please go follow. I love you guys, or if you hate me, I love you too. Peace out. Love you. Bye.